Being a Sonic fan is often a frustrating experience. There's this incredible wealth of expanded universe material. Yet, the games range from god tier to downright frustrating. For years, Sega refused to bring this cult classic to the PC, until now. In 2025, a group of fan geniuses produced Unleashed Recompiled. It's a PC port based on the Xbox 360 version of Sonic Unleashed. It's a miraculous feat of coding. Yet, it was also my chance to revisit a game that, no joke, actually got me to rage quit. Sonic Unleashed was a painful experience on the 360. Constant frame drops, stupid filler, the Werehog. Doing my tax form was more engaging than playing with the Werehog. But thanks to the efforts of the Sonic community, I was able to make my experience a little more bearable. Was that enough to make me finally appreciate Sonic Unleashed? Or was it all a fluke? Before we continue, I'm focused squarely on the Xbox 360 version, as that's the one I played back in the day. Also, this video will contain full spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you. Let's hit the boost button.
Ho!
The game begins with Sonic blasting through Eggman's space fleet. Now, even the most jaded Sonic fans can't deny one thing. This opening goes hard. The animation and camera work are simply next level. Marza Animation Planet, which produced this cutscene, would later animate portions of the live-action Sonic movies. I find it way past cool they knocked it out of the park in 2008, and they did it again in Sonic Movie 3. That's a solid resume right there. The in-engine cutscenes, however, are not as good. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Eggman manages to drain Sonic of his super energy, shoots his laser piss at the Earth, and reawakens this ancient god called Dark Gaia. Eggman also infuses Sonic with dark energy, turning him into this furry... No, not that. I'm in my happy place. Sonic then plummets into this random Greek town. This shot right here perfectly captures my mood on Mondays. Sonic then bumps into Chip the Pipsqueak. I'm not super fond of him, but I'll save the character analysis stuff for later. But right now, let's get to the good stuff.
Here we go!
Sonic Unleashed was the game to popularize the boost formula. You press the X button, you get a burst of speed. It had two trade-offs. You had a limited supply of boost energy, and when you used it, it made dodging hazards much trickier. It's easy to learn, but hard to master. And my god, it's hard to master on the later stages. Sonic Rush had this mechanic back in 2005, but Sonic Unleashed made it a cultural institution. As someone who's played every boost game following Unleashed, I was a little worried that this first iteration wouldn't age as well. Boy, was I so happy to be wrong. The level design is phenomenal, the music is amazing, and the sense of speed is incredible. You go so fast, it's almost incomprehensible at points. I'm telling you, these stages were a blast. Although, it has some faults. First, if you're jumping in one direction, and you want to air dash in the opposite direction, well, tough luck. The later games made it so you can easily course correct if you miss a jump. Unleashed doesn't do this. Sonic controls well when you're dealing with wide open spaces, but the minute the level demands quick U-turns, like the 2D parts of Eggman Land, well, it turns into misery. Next, the homing attack lunge is way too large. Let's say you don't have an enemy selected and you want to make a big leap across a chasm. Chances are you hit the jump button and Sonic overshoots the platform by 30 or 40 feet. Even after beating the game, I had a hard time judging where Sonic would land. On top of that, for some reason, the boost and homing attack were mapped to the same button. It seriously messed with my muscle memory. Thankfully, I was able to reconfigure my controls via the mods. And it just so happens that Unleashed Recompiled offers robust mod support. I played the game at 60 frames a second, but I didn't mess with the level system or the difficulty. I wanted a vanilla experience, or at least something close to that. But I did remove two major annoyances. First, the tornado flight sequences were gutted. They're more boring than the tornado bits in Sonic Adventure 1. Secondly, I said goodbye to the medal requirements. In the original game, you had to collect a certain amount of sun and moon medals before you could go to the next level. This worked fine in a game like Super Mario 64. That game told you from the start, hey, you gotta get this many power stars before you can continue. Plus, the missions in Mario 64 lasted between 5 to 10 minutes, and if one level was giving you too much trouble, the game gave you enough leeway to pick another path. Unleashed is the polar opposite. It doesn't mention this requirement anywhere until it's too late. Collecting those medals isn't that hard. You have to comb over the super big day stages, and it's even worse if you're doing the nighttime stages. Even worse, there's around 400 medals in total, and half of that is mandatory if you want to see the ending. Plus, if you missed too many of them, you had to replay, that thing for 20 or God forbid, 30-minute chunks. Don't you worry, I'll get to the Werehog soon enough. Let's just say, I have zero regrets disabling this stupid collectible hunt. Thankfully, the later boost games vastly improved Sonic's handling. Colors, Sonic generations, Shadow generations, Frontiers, and even Forces scaled down the speed. In return, they tied up Sonic's ground in mid-air momentum. Shadow generations, in my opinion, had the best boost control. Shadow felt very responsive and reliable, especially when you had to make mid-air adjustments. He felt like the perfect refinement of what was done in Unleashed. Ironically, Unleashed has the edge in terms of difficulty. You have to work for that S rank. As much as I like Sonic Generations and its Shadow expansion, getting perfect ranks in those games was somewhat trivial. As long as you played semi-competently and not die once, you got a slap on the wrist. Unleashed, on the other hand, has much higher score requirements. You have to know the level by heart, not get hit once, and maintain a good time to at least earn a B rank. When you finally earn that S rank, it feels so good. The same can't be said for the DLC stages. They're grueling, filled with cheap trap placement, and push the clunky 2D controls to their limits. I have to admit, they're interesting experiments in masochism, otherwise I can do without them. Let's get back to the story. After touring Greece, Sonic and Chip ask the local citizens for directions. The hub towns in Unleashed are actually pretty cool. You can talk to NPCs, buy some souvenirs, and even do side quests. The townsfolk have amusing side stories to tell. I don't normally play Sonic games for town interactions, but these hubs add so much personality. This game's Japanese title is Sonic World Adventure, as in Sonic becomes an international tourist. The region of Apatos is based on the Greek islands. Spagonia is a hodgepodge of Spain and Italy. Empire City is literally Manhattan, New York. This game nails the going around the world aspect to a T. Unleashed has my favorite execution of hub worlds in any Sonic game. The hubs are confined, easy to navigate, and mostly optional. Sonic and Chip are stumped in their investigation. So what do you do when you're stuck on a mystery? Eat a crap ton of ice cream.
Wow, this Chip whatever stuff is great.
How about you give me a hand and help look for somebody who knows you, Chip?
Chip?
Gotta call you something, don't I?
Yeah, Chip. Chip. I love it. Yum.
I almost forgot about this guy. Where do I start with Chip? He's this innocent boy with amnesia, a shrill voice, and a big appetite. Sonic initially befriends Chip out of convenience, but over the course of the story, Sonic tells Chip to be less scared of things and be more confident of himself. By the end, Chip discovers he's the god of light and sacrifices himself to stop Dark Gaia. Now, I have mixed feelings on Chip. The interactions between him and Sonic, when it's the sappy emotional stuff, are pretty well done. My favorite scene is when Chip tells Sonic, hey, I'm Light Gaia, and I don't think I can do this, so I'm gonna leave you. And Sonic goes, no, dude, I'm your best friend, we're gonna do this together, we're gonna save the world. And it's probably the best scene in the whole game. I like how both dudes became best bros, and it pays off big time during the Super Sonic finale. Yet Chip's comedy is not as effective. Chip's comedic routines boil down to, oh, he's super hungry, or oh, he's a scared kid, ooh, or
And if I was that hungry, I'd rather be dead.
Okay. Let's go and find the professor.
Unleashed tries to be a purposely funny game, but the jokes just feel forced. The humor of Unleashed might be bad, but I take it any day over the How do you do, fellow kids? Type of writing you see in Sonic Colors. God, the writing in Sonic Colors just freaking blows, man. It blows. Later that night, Sonic and Chip start witnessing weird things. Dark Gaia's minions begin to invade all over Greece, but that's not the weirdest part. Once the sun goes down, Sonic transforms into, oh god, is it that time?
Mr. Monster Guy is back!
Yep, it's that time. The dreaded Werehog gameplay. Where do I begin? Unleashed has two gameplay styles, the boost day stages and the combat focused night stages. The latter style is what made me rage quit. During the night, Sonic becomes this aggressive wolf creature with stretchy limbs. Sonic has the same personality, but his hormones are raging. The Werehog gameplay consists of Bayonetta style combat featuring long combos, dodging attacks, and flashy finishers. On paper, the Werehog isn't that bad to play. He has two primary attacks, a block button, a rage meter, and some aerial flourishes. Now, it's not as deep as Bayonetta 2, but it's satisfying to mindlessly beat the bejesus out of Dark Gaia's minions. Then it gets real old, real fast. Here's my first problem. The Werehog stages are too damn long. For the average player, each level can range from 20 to 30 or even 40 minutes. Now, if you know what you're doing, you can get your time below 10 minutes. Bayonetta 2 also had its share of long stages, but that game had fluid controls, a more varied combat system, and it didn't require Cereza to get 10,000 trinkets in order to progress. Unleashed has a terrible habit of throwing so many speed bumps at the player. The game railroads you into boring hallways, slow puzzle sequences, and annoying stage hazards. I definitely like the part where you have to find a key and put it into the right spot to enter, and sometimes you have to insert 4 keys to unlock one door.
Can I start over?
Or the part where pushing a lever takes forever. I can't tell you how many times you're stopped dead in your tracks to show a cinematic of you closing a door or enemies coming into the room. Speaking of monsters, there's a serious lack of enemy variety. There's 9 major enemy types. That doesn't sound too bad of a rogues gallery, but they're not enough to sustain 30-minute levels. But wait, it gets better! The Werehog battle theme is the bane of my existence. It's this urban jazz procession on steroids. It's a fine enough track, but it plays over every enemy encounter. Anytime an enemy sneezes on Sonic, it plays. Oh, you go into a new room, it plays. Oh, you accidentally stub your toe? Oh, it plays. Oh yeah, I'm sure that won't get on people's nerves in a game that's 60% combat. What were they thinking? Did they not playtest the Werehog for more than 5 minutes at a time? It's a shame, because the non-combat music is pretty great. Each level has a unique instrument related to its target country. Why couldn't we get regional variants of the Werehog theme? Were Sega's composers too busy to do that? Thank God the PC port has an option to disable it. Is there any saving grace to the Werehog? Actually, yeah. The God of War platforming sections are the best part. The Werehog has the ability to grab ledges and enemies with his stretchy arms. The target reticle is sometimes finicky, but these sections were a decent treat. The same even applies to the level gimmicks. During the Antarctic level, Sonic has to contend with icy floors and robotic heat fans. Or in the Manhattan level, Sonic has to navigate these narrow steel beams or risk becoming a pancake. Or during the Indonesia level, you use these launch poles to jump between the islands. These are excellent shakeups to the usual gameplay. It's too bad they're few and far between. But do you want to know the funniest part? You can run past half the enemies in this game. I doubt this was intentional, but I made it a mini contest to see how many combat sections I could skip altogether. All in all, the Werehog sections are a major letdown. The platforming and stage gimmicks were amusing, but it's bogged down with the worst pacing imaginable, lack of enemy variety, the repetitive music, levels that overstay their welcome. Now, I might get a few comments about this, so I'll get it out of the way. How does the Werehog compare to other Sonic games with similar combat? In Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, the combat was dull, repetitive, and had a limited moveset. Now, the only thing Rise of Lyric had over Unleashed was that the fighting took up a smaller portion of the runtime. The Werehog had more combos and moves, but to be honest, the less I think about Rise of Lyric, the better. On the flip side, Sonic Frontiers is the only major Sonic game where the combat system was kind of tolerable. The moveset was fun to use, the enemy variety was much greater, and it felt like a natural extension of the regular platforming. Mind you, it had serious jank, and you could abuse the parry move all you want. It's more enjoyable to use than the Werehog. Years ago, Unleashed was the rare game that made me question what I was doing with my time. Okay, where were we again? Sonic manages to save Tail from a platoon of Dark Gaia creatures. Wait a minute, what is Tails doing in Greece? Why did this game start the trend of him cowering behind pieces of cover? Don't ask questions, just consume product and get excited for next product. The next day, Tails tells Sonic that he knows a guy who can fix the Werehog curse. So whenever there's a big exposition dump, Chip just kind of acts cute for the camera. So the trio then bumps into Professor Pickle, who dumps a bunch of exposition. From here, the game turns into a global scavenger hunt. Sonic and Chip visit a new place, fight Dark Gaia creatures, and retrieve the 7 Chaos Emeralds. I won't recap the whole plot, but overall, the story of Unleashed is all over the place. The first and third acts of the story are phenomenal, but everything in between is just meh. Sonic visits a place, Eggman banters with his robot, and Chip, I don't know what Chip is doing, he's just being a goofball. Not much happens in the second act. It doesn't help that the in-engine cinematics are stilted. The camera work is kinda dull, and the animation is awkward in spots. Unleashed utilizes both handcrafted animation and motion captured actors. Outside of the pre-rendered stuff, the animation ranges from okay to pretty good, but during the in-engine cutscenes, the characters kinda walk around like drunken sailors. Maybe it's a side effect of me running the game at 60 FPS, but even at 30 frames per second, the mocap looks so awkward. But that's not the most egregious fault. Sonic Unleashed suffers from Ludonarrative Dissonance. Basically, there's this emotional disconnect between what happens in cutscenes and what happens in gameplay. Do you remember the villain campaign in Sonic Adventure 2? You see Eggman invade a military base, you play through that invasion. Shadow wakes up, which causes a gun mech to intercept. You overcome that mech in a boss fight. Then, Eggman recruits Shadow on the spot. There's this natural flow between the cinematics and gameplay. It made the story of Sonic Adventure 2 feel way more immersive. On the flip side, the story to gameplay transitions in Unleashed feel so artificial. First, you gotta go to the hub world, visit a level select zone, and then walk to the level gates. After you finish a stage, you get booted back to the hub. Then, the game goes, hey, you unlocked a boss gate. Why don't you walk to this random piece of geometry over here? You then plow through the boss.
I know little girls who are better with a hammer than you! Well, one anyway!
And finally, you receive the next story beat. You get that? My goodness. This narrative structure is such a mess. It's needless back and forth commute between the different hub zones. It's less of an organic adventure and more of a random checklist to get through. It reminds you, this is a game first and foremost. Immersion be damned. Oh, and even if you unlock the next continent, you have to get Professor Pickle's permission before you can enter the next level. Even though that region is visible on the map, and I can go to the hub, but I can't unlock the level gate. It's just, why did they do this? If the metal requirements and the Werehog gameplay weren't enough, the endless downtime is what did me in. This is how you build resentment. Overall, the story of Unleashed is such a mixed bag. It has a lot of promise, but the middle chunk of the story turns into this aimless, padded mess. The comedy didn't impress me, the in-engine cutscenes were awkward, and the game structure just drove me insane. If I'm roasting this story so hard, why didn't I say it was terrible all around? Unleashed ends in the best way imaginable.
Time for the big finale!
After getting the 6 Chaos Emeralds, Team Sonic lands at Eggman Land, Eggman's amusement park of death. Oh boy, I can see why this level lives in infamy. Eggman Land is one of the hardest final levels ever created in any platformer. It's long, stupidly difficult, and throws every obstacle at the player. It's the only stage that mixes boost gameplay and Werehog gameplay together. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Eggman Land kinda rocks as far as final levels go. It's a true test of skill, it remixes all the mechanics in a lot of interesting ways, and it allows for cool shortcuts when playing as the Werehog. Yet, the biggest difficulty spike isn't the combat or stage hazards, it's the damn camera. There's this Werehog part where you have to jump between these pipes, and the camera angles make landing on those pipes nigh impossible. Eggman Land has some of the worst camera placement in history. It took me 2 hours to get through this stage, but I made it. And you know what? The final battle was totally worth it. Sonic and Chip finally find that damn 7th Chaos Emerald. Eggman tries to defeat Sonic, but he gets thrown out of the story. Dark Gaia finally awakens from its slumber. It's like this Final Fantasy god that threatens to consume the planet. It manages to strip Sonic of his Werehog energy. Chip remembers that he's like Gaia and that he has a chance to finally subdue Dark Gaia. So what's the good guys' plan? Chip builds a freaking Megazord. Did Sonic Team just rip off Super Sentai? Yes. Is it awesome? Also yes. Chip and Sonic take turns beating up Dark Gaia. Its high stakes flows naturally between playing as Chip and Sonic, and it culminates in the best boss fight in Sonic history. Dark Gaia goes into turbo mode. Sonic reacquires his super form and joins Chip shoulder to shoulder in battle. This fight is freaking nuts. The epic orchestral score, the epic size of it, the science of desperation between Sonic and Chip. Okay, if I have to nitpick, the boss is a little easy when it comes to hitting his snake things. Otherwise, I had the biggest grin on my face. This alone made sitting through the Werehog worth it. The team defeats Dark Gaia and seals him forever. Sonic burns through his energy and passes out. Chip realizes that if he doesn't do something, the world is gonna fall apart. He sends Sonic back to the surface of the Earth, gives him a ring, and sacrifices himself Terminator 2 style. The game ends with Sonic running off to the sunset with Tails. Now that's how you end a story. In conclusion, I'm so glad I finally played Sonic Unleashed. This game has so many crippling design flaws, but it's also brilliant. The boost stages, soundtrack, and art direction have aged gracefully. The story was take it or leave it for me. The Werehog gameplay tested my patience, and the padding was truly horrendous. Like some of the worst padding I've ever seen in any game. But thanks to the mad geniuses behind Unleashed Recompiled, I was able to truly appreciate this game's immense ambition. I swear, the Dark Gaia boss battle is one of the best finales I've played in any video game. I now understand why so many people hold Unleashed in high regard. Thank you for watching. I'd like to thank my pal Dan Rock for helping me with the script. Go check him out. Remember, no hedgehogs were harmed in the making of this video.
Can I start over?